I can hear something calling. It's calling me every day. If taking a chance is a crime, then I've got hell to pay. I've been walking the streets in my mind, trying to find a new day. Keep on searching until I will find, until I find a new way. I'm gonna say something, I hope you don't mind. It's time to rearrange. I walk round in circles, I'm going nowhere. It's time to make a change.
There is no greater responsibility than protecting our children. If we don't, who will? For Josh Urkowski, that's not just a belief, it's a mission. As the founder of Angel Force Protection, he's dedicating his life to ensuring schools remain safe havens and not battlegrounds. His work isn't just about security systems, it's about vigilance, presence, and relentless dedication. Josh, really happy to have you, as this is something near and dear to me, and I think it's a very, very relevant and important topic. So thanks so much for joining me.
Man, what a pleasure to be here. I really, really appreciate you allowing me this opportunity to come here and talk about Angel Force and just be part of your podcast, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's I try to surround myself in my circle with solid individuals that I can learn from and who I respect. And so far, being connected with you on social media, LinkedIn specifically, you're definitely one of those people. And I think what you're doing is definitely important and needs to be talked about. So that being said, what inspired you to start Angel Force Protection? And were there any personal experiences that led you to this mission?
Yeah. So, well, Angel Force Protection is the for-profit that we established because my kids' school really just they didn't have any protection. So it was an unfortunate fortunate thing that had happened, but I got the cops called on me by the principal. True story. And of the school that my boys go to. Now it's a private Christian school called Rocky Valley Christian School out here in Florida, and and it was obviously a misunderstanding as to why the principal called the cops on me. But yeah, very true story. I'll try to keep it as short as I can, but I was sitting in the parking line, waiting to pick up my boys. I always went there a little bit early, and this school is shared with the church. So church by weekend, obviously, and school by week, and and there's a lot of homeless that are around, and hot days, and homeless try to get into those places where they, feel comfortable and out of the heat, or maybe if they want to talk to God, if that's the case. But what happened is a homeless gentleman tried to get into the school that my kids were going to, and I was parked outside there, and he was tugging and pulling at the door, hitting the bell, all upset because he had seen a bunch of cars that were parked outside, assuming that, the church was having a session going on or something like that. So, obviously, with him not realizing it was a school, he was pretty aggressive about it. Well, I'm active duty military. I'm, about to retire. My last day in uniform was last week, but I'm about to retire soon. So, I've did some tours, done some tours in Afghanistan and seen some dirty things, and have dealt with some pretty intense situations. And I was under the impression that this might be one of those situations that might arise. So what had happened is he's jerking out the door. I rolled my windows down to kind of get ready to mitigate the situation. And he huffed and puffed and took off and left. Well, the little camera that they did have was just a little small one on the front, and that you could see from the admin office of the school, and they had assumed that that individual had gotten the back of my car. Well, my car that I had that day was a loaner car.
Mm.
And so the principal didn't recognize the car, and was under the impression that he went into the back of my car. Now all the parents are going to start coming soon. So looked, and about 2 minutes later was like, that car didn't leave yet. And so she calls the cops. Well, 45 minutes later, the cops show up.
Hmm.
And I was thinking, there's nothing be done because I watched the guy leave and we're good to go. Well, I was kind of relaxing and I look up into my mirror and I see this cop coming up on me heavy from my six, and I roll my windows down and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then one of the teachers comes running out the door and said, "Oh my gosh, it's Mr. Yurkowski. He's a parent of two kids that come here." And then obviously the misunderstanding turned into a giggle. Well, that didn't settle well with me because not only did it take a long time for that police officer to arrive, there was no protection whatsoever other than a locked glass door. And so the next day, I asked the principal, I'm about to retire from the military. Can I sit in this school and protect you and my children and the children here?" And she said, "Yes, we've actually been wanting this to happen. The problem is we can't afford the protection." And then I got to thinking, well, that's not right. Like, how could you put a number, a financial number on a child's life, let alone a whole school of them? In the world we live in, it's a necessity now. And so I literally created the LLC that very next day, and got my first contract with that same school. And now I have an angel guard sitting there protecting my babies every single day, and the babies that are there and the staff. So that's how it kind of came down.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you know, my youngest is finishing high school this year, and I I go over there every now and then. I'll get a call, from her like, "Hey, could you bring me Chick-fil-A? I forgot my lunch, right?" So like, I work from home, so I'm like, "Sure." But and I've gotten to know and speak to the guard, and
Mhm.
such a nice lady, right? But I'm not going to lie, I always sit there and I go, like, they open this door for everyone to come in, and no offense, but you aren't going to stop somebody who's out to do harm. And it
Sure.
always like boggles my mind that not just my daughter's school, but all the schools here. I'm in the Philadelphia area.
Mhm.
And, when I think about what my taxes go for, I'd sign up for put my taxes towards that, right? What's needed. I agree. And I can see it. And I've always wondered about it. Outside of that specific situation that you dealt with, anything else, like any other pivotal moments or things that have happened in the world that you think could have, maybe reinforced that commitment you have towards the school security?
Well, I mean, just think about it. In the last no, month and a half, there's been three school shootings, two at a private and another at a public, and each one of them could have been, mitigated if we had the proper preemptive and proactive action. And that's the whole purpose between, with Angel Force Protection being actually putting the guards into the school, and Angel Force Foundation, the nonprofit that is helping with the price issues and the education portion of it. So after seeing all of these recent school shootings, my children only being 9 and 7 years old, with a lot more education to come, watching so many of my friends pull their children out of school because they just don't feel like the school is safe enough for them anymore is detrimental to our nation, and it's going to affect it. So those everyday life things that are happening within our nation are, and our reactive nation, I should say, need to be changed now. And so that is one of those, fire that's being lit behind me, that I'm just constantly pushing to make, this expand properly. And what better way to utilize our veterans also, because I don't hire, it's funny story is, I talked to an individual, very prestigious individual within the city that I live in, and I said, hey, I hire veterans exclusively to protect our children and Angel Force protection. And he said, well, You can't do that. You can't say exclusive like that. I said, well, I just did. And here's why. Because at one time, someone like myself and other veterans had signed a bottom line to protect the freedom of this country. And so essentially, all I'm doing is I'm taking that and I'm asking them to sign another bottom line to protect the future of the country. And that's our babies. And so I just utilize that wisdom and knowledge and professionalism. A lot of them are fathers and uncles and grandfathers, and I can vet them very well to where I know that, like you just said, um, it's not going to be can they or can they not protect the children? Do they have the physical ability, the mental capability, or any of that? I know for a fact they have it, and they're going to take care of the mess, and then they're going to call the police up afterwards and say, clean this mess up because we have children to teach, you know?
Yeah, and I could see as you spoke of that, it's you could see the passion just exuding from you, Josh, and it's
Yeah.
really good to see. And I didn't personally serve, but my grandfather was World War II. He actually part of D-Day.
Wow.
I mean, I think back in police in my family, and I think back to like what the veterans have done for our country, and I know how many of them are willing to do even more. And this is just, I think it's just such a common sense use of their skills and their abilities and what they signed up for. And I don't know why it's not being used more. So I do have to ask you though now, right? I mean, it's a topic for discussion and it always comes out this way. And I don't agree with this sentiment, but what do you say to the people who the way to stop everything is we just get rid of guns? Like, I think that's nonsensical.
Yeah, so the good thing about me, Angel Force, I'm pro Constitution. So a constitutional carry, you know what I mean? And with that amendment, it's your right as a human being within the United States of America. So regardless of what your political beliefs or opinions are, it's written in black and white as to what we can and cannot do, and that sets up options for us, uh, and abilities for us to be able to protect ourselves. So I think you got to set your bias aside and opinions aside when it comes to that, and here's why. Look at the color of Angel Force Protection. It's purple. If you combine red and blue together, it creates the color purple. So you got the right, you got the left. You know what I mean? Everyone has their opinions, but Angel Force Protection, we don't, we don't necessarily allow ourselves to be biased on that. Here's the precision to it is we want to protect that child. So if you take away everybody's guns, there's always going to be the bad guys with the guns. So if you put, I've had people come to me and said, hey Josh, uh, thanks for bringing or trying to bring guns into a school. And I say, well, you're looking at this the wrong way. How about thanks for protecting your children? And regardless, we don't flaunt the guns. We're close, carry and concealed carry. We don't hyperfixate on them. We don't, pop them out there. There's literally, if I could do what I wanted to do without a pistol or a rifle, I would do it. But the root of it is you can't, because my angel guard is not going to protect a child with a pencil or a voice of reason. You know what I mean? When someone comes in, an assailant comes in with a rifle or a gun trying to kill every little child and teacher in there, my guard is not going to be able to do that properly. So you fight fire with fire, and that's the way it goes. Now, like I said, there's too many guns in our country right now to just pull the guns away and say, all the good people followed the rules, all the bad people do whatever you want to do because they're going to do it anyways, right? So we're going to continue to do that. And unfortunately, there are opinions out there that just don't like that idea. And you know what would be wonderful in 20, 30 years from now, a couple of decades or generations from now? we may be able to get to that point. But right now, there are too many stupid and ignorant and horrible people out there that want to do some horrible things. And right now, we're going to fight fire with fire against that.
Yeah, it's well said, Josh. I couldn't agree more. I think I never understood it. I think it's just it, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but it's a fact of life. And we need good people like you with the ability to combat bad people with bad intentions. And, I think it's easy for people to always have an opinion until that situation hits close to home. And then they're wishing that there was somebody there like you or one of your guards to protect their child or their loved one. So yeah, I could not agree more. Um, Obviously the things you talk about that we're talking about here, it's not easy to talk about when, especially when it comes to kids and you think about loss of life and even the fact that we have to worry about it as parents, as adults. Um, how do you personally cope with some of that emotional weight of working in school safety, especially in light of some of the tragedies that we hear about?
Yeah, it's not easy for me. Based more on the fact of that if I could expand properly and quickly, I would already be there. So the hardest part for me is the bureaucracy or the red tape or all the other good stuff that's literally the obstacles that are stopping me. So that my coping mechanism, it, the derivative behind it is because I'm a father first. So every situation that ever happens, I always take that and I put myself in the shoes of the parent that just lost their child or of the spouse that just lost their significant other that just wanted to teach children and be a good person, right? So I put myself in that zone, and that fuels me to know. Oh my gosh, it allows me to be able to spread my wings even a little bit further and just continue to push even harder against the obstacles that are being presented to me and my team. And so it is not easy to talk about, but the awareness has to happen. So I will be that foundation to go ahead and say, um, your children are dying in schools and it needs to stop now, and we're going to stop it. So I have no problem saying that, and I know it's very difficult for other people too, especially with the proactive or preemptive. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Especially with the reactive nation that we're in, talking to some of these families and these schools that have already had a shooting or have already dealt with this stuff. Like you said, every one of them wished that they had it, in their school earlier. And I use that to feed it to say we're going to make that happen to where no one else has to say what you just said to me type thing, you know? And that gets me.
Yeah, and again, I can see that passion, and it's ref it sucks, but it's refreshing to see because I truly believe this that we need people like you willing to do this work and put themselves in a position to potentially be in danger for the sake of our children, which is it's not an easy ask, but it's something that should be applauded. And I'm really happy that people like you and your team exist. Um, as I know it's military, I know it's veterans. Are there any specific training programs that your team has to undergo to prepare for this role?
Oh yeah. And I'm glad you asked that. When I was talking about veterans being exclusive to my Angel Guards, DD-214s are something you get as an honorable discharge when you leave. So I vet my Angel Guards. I highly vet them, meaning they can't even talk to me or get my line in my line of sight when it comes to this stuff unless they have that DD-214, that honorable discharge. Now, I look for other aspects. A lot of the times, I want them to be a father or a grandfather. You know what I mean? Or a mother or a grandmother. And and I want to make sure that they hit that dynamic, that versatility, because I make them go through as W-2 employees, and with my organization on the contract, I require them to give me a physical and mental, background check, not just a regular like a mall cop style background check where they go in and they put their fingerprints in and they don't have they paid their taxes and stuff. No, I'm getting into the intricacies of that individual to make sure that they are solid. We actually have training this weekend. Actually, yeah, tomorrow. We've got some downrange shooting training where we do close quarter combat training. We do a lot of stuff. Our guys, the goal of an Angel Guard is not to sit in front of the school and show awareness. No, it's to get involved into the children and the teacher and the faculty and the staff. I just did a live video tip of the week for Angel Force Protection today, and the purpose was watch out for the dangers within, because even a teacher could hurt a child. You know what I mean? Even another child could hurt a child. Now, the Angel Guard is going to get into the minds and build relationships and longevity and continuity with those children, with the staff of that school, that faculty. So it can build a relationship to where they is a trusting factor to where they can come to that Angel Guard and talk openly about an issue that might arise within the school. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's your proactive and preemptive attack on an issue. And then they also help facilitate, in education wise, they help facilitate the safety constraints that teachers are putting on themselves. A teacher has to teach, right? That the whole purpose of a teacher and an educator is to teach our children. Why are we going to put a gun in their hand and tell them now you got to protect or maybe possibly shoot somebody? You know what I mean? They're going to be destroyed after something like that happens. Why would we put safety concerns on an educator, like, for example, if a hurricane comes or a tornado or a fire or something like that? Like, everyone should know what they're supposed to do as a job, but they should not be the ones responsible for it. Let my Angel Guard come in there and take some of that heat, take some of that weight off of that facilitator so they can teach our children properly. So our children can learn properly, focus on the kids like they're supposed to. You know what I mean? And so, yes, our training is very elaborate. It's very strict. I'm talking physically and mentally. We don't play around. And then they also have a beautiful smile on their face when they're doing it. They're not mean guys. They are going to be there to be the shield, the tip of the spear, the rampart of the future. They're going to protect those kids, and there's no questions ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too about the teachers because I've heard that scenario before. And, just from personal experience, I'm 53 now, but a few years back when I started getting more involved in training with firearms, I remember the first day of holding the firearm and, you know, wearing my watch that tracks my heart rate. Josh, just holding the firearm, I saw the elevation in my heart rate, which I don't think people think about. And like even those first couple shots when you're doing it and you're starting to learn, I mean, honestly, I think it took me probably a few months of going to the range to where I felt at least comfortable in that environment to fire at a target. Listen, I'm under no illusions. I don't know what would happen if I had to do that in real life. And I'll be quite frank, I'd sit here and tell you that I probably would do my best, but I don't have any thoughts that I would be able to achieve the desired result without potentially hurting somebody else or just not fulfilling what I was trying to do, right? I think we need it and we need to leave it up to the professionals and we need more professionals involved.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you shouldn't have to. You should not have to worry about that kind of stuff. See, That's that mindset where we're in another situation, we're a reactive country. You know what I mean? So to put that kind of pressure on a teacher or anybody that just isn't ready for that scenario, it's detrimental to them and it's unnecessary. And so we need to fix that. Again, it's another one of those things. And I need to say this, when we talk about the exclusivity for military and veterans, that's just for my Angel Guard itself, and I do that on purpose because me being military background, I have the knowledge to be able to pull and pick what I need as far as my minimum standard and requirement that I'm looking for. But a lot of the police officers have come to me and say, "Well, I want to do it. I was an SRO or I did this and I did that and I was." Or FBI agents, or, I've had some Secret Service guys and stuff come to me and say, I'd love to do this. And I say, well, I can't utilize you as an Angel Guard, but I can put you in a different realm. I could use your wisdom in another way, meaning I could get you to help me with the training. I could get you help me facilitating, this stuff. Just picking the brain of your guys's knowledge is going to be huge for my Angel Guard to be able to navigate with his job. So I definitely needed to say that out there. It's not exclusive as far as Angel Force protection, but Angel Guards, it's exclusive. So, but yeah.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And great segue. What I wanted to get into next a little bit, we've talked a lot about the human element and the people and the guards. How about technology, surveillance, all that good stuff? Are you doing that also?
Yeah, so we just partnered up with three pretty big organizations. Um, I can't really talk too much to one, but we'll start with one that I can talk about quite well. It's a canine unit that is already throughout the nation, and this canine unit is going to give us the opportunity to be able to come in and do sniffs. Now, it's not just sniffs for like bombs or sniffs for cocaine or drugs or whatever. They actually have dogs out there that'll sniff for the signature of what a weapon
Mhm.
smells like or what an ammunition, you know what I mean, smells like. Um, so this the we just started talking to them and we're working out the intricacies of trying to get that embedded into Angel Force Protection, where it basically becomes one of the tier level standards that we hold every school to have. Okay, so that's really fun. Now that's not the technical side of it, which you're asking for, but it's definitely part of something that is needs to be in there. But so that's ScentWorks Canine Detection is who that is. Now, um, moving on to the next level, we have partnered up with a company called Angel Guarding, or sorry, Virtual Guarding, virtualguarding.com. You can check them out. Virtual Guarding, they have these cameras we're going to be starting to implement into every school that we go to. And these cameras are AI generated cameras, but they also have all these awesome things that you can do in conjunction with that, like metal detectors through all the doors. Now, these are concealable metal detectors. It's not like these big honking
Mm.
things that they have at the airports, wherever a case like that. And then they have so many other things to include the cameras being live and watched by a disabled veteran or spouse from a remote location to where they have access to be able to view these cameras going on. Now, you can check out virtualguarding.com and see the unbelievable stuff that they've got in there when it comes to utilizing AI in conjunction with the cameras, like facial recognition that like pinpoint whether or not this individual is already maybe a pedophile or is already got some kind of crime against them. And it'll trigger that and it'll show up a light will come up and say, hey, you've got some danger, walking around the school or whatever. Some super awesome stuff. Now, we're going to be implementing that as well. And then the last one I got to say, which I can't talk too much to this because we haven't really gone crazy public with it, but I will say this: Deal Play, the company is called Deal Play, and it is a VR gaming company out of New Zealand. Now, this is revolutionary. What's going to happen is we're going to be building three-dimensional mappings of a school, the school, like actual three-dimensional mapping of the precise school itself. And then we're going to start training VR training for tier levels for children, all the way up to facilitators, to angel guards, to first responders, to where at any given time, let's just say, for example, my kid's school, we want to conduct a fire training with them. They're going to put on this VR set, and it's literally going to allow them to be within the school, in the classroom that they're actually, the desk that they're sitting in. There's going to be a fire that comes on, and then they're going to navigate to the closest way. Oh, sorry, fire started over here now. Let's get you this way. And they're literally going to be able to utilize that. And then, and that's just fire. We're going to have things like active shooter training and stuff like this. But, it allows that child to be able to see that in a VR. And then what we do is we take that VR training and then we do some live exercises, obviously throughout the year. But they could take that VR home. They can download that into their system of their, just unbelievable stuff. And there's more to it, but I can't talk about it, unfortunately, yet. But that's kind of, there's obviously a lot more that we're going to be doing with that.
Sounds amazing. Looking forward to seeing and hearing more about that. You started to get me anyway when you start to mention the dogs. I have a German Shepherd who I I joke with people. I say if you come into my house, that'll be the last thing you see before you leave this world.
Yeah.
And I bring it up because I know you active duty, you were Navy, correct?
That's right. 21 years Navy. Yep.
Yeah, I got certified and utilized Mike Ritlin, the Navy SEAL, his military dog training to
Yeah.
train my dog, and yeah, they're amazing, amazing animals. It's so cool. And something else you mentioned there too about the schools and kind of like least like standards, right? Do you talk to people at the schools as far like I'll give you an example. I was just at a show for my daughter and they're going through the emergency protocol, right? And it's two exit doors, literally in the front, out this way. And I don't even know why, but in my mind, because I'm a cynical guy, I go, we just alerted anybody, the bad guy, to basically go, I block one of these doors, or if it's two of us, we block these doors. We've now have you trapped and you can't get out. Do you talk about things like that with administrators as far as like their exits, their plans, all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, so we have a wonderful assessment that we do prior to us going into a school, but that assessment is just scratching the surface of what we do once we're actually in the school, and then when we're in there, what we do is we don't want to come in kicking a door down, turn it into a prison or anything like that. We want to make sure that the faculty is comfortable and knowledgeable of what they're doing. So as we're learning about the faculty and the school, the ins and outs of it, safe spaces, ECPs, entry control points, exit control points, and we start learning all of that stuff. We start building within the first few months. Not actually the first month itself, we're already building these brand new routes, exits, entrance, hidings, emergency plans, basically standard operating procedures that work already in conjunction with the school safeties that they already have in place. So really, all we're doing is fine tuning it. We're not coming and taking it over. We're fine tuning and making it better on a scalable vision coming from military style, knowledge, basically.
Yeah, Josh, I think what you're doing is so needed. And are you currently just right now you're in Florida? Are you
That's right.
only in Florida or is this available around the country?
So right now it's Florida. I mean, it's so hard to say this, but we literally just started in April of 24. And so we're still baby, we're still baby. But I have gotten other states that have been begging, like, Josh, get here, get here, get here. Now, that's where that red tape comes in. And that's where the bureaucracy, that's where all that shenanigans come in for licensings and for this and for that. Now, once I break that mold, we're going nationwide all day long, every day. And, me being still active duty military was kind of restricting me from allowing myself to start coming to these other states. But our intention, and I say, you could say long-term goal. It's not long-term in my head. I want in, 5 years, I want an Angel Guard to be standing in every single school in the nation. You know what I mean? That's what needs to happen. And I'm just got to get to the right ears to allow me, and allow Angel Force to spread the wings and do that.
That's amazing, and I hope that we are talking about this. I hope in a year from now, if months from now, right, that you're starting to get into other states because this is needed all over,
It is.
and it's definitely it's an epidemic, and it's
Yeah.
something that I don't think we're giving enough attention to as far as the school safety. And I think, unfortunately, the way that money is being used for school safety, it's a waste of money.
It is. There's a lot of really unfortunate small band-aids for big wounds that have been created, and every single one of them are still a reactive style. But Angel Force is driven to be that proactiveness. And I ask people and listeners and everything all the time, just just think about this for a second. If you just focus and reprioritize your thoughts for just 1 or 2 years for our children. Just take so many people are more hyper fixated on shenanigans that's happening in the United States, like like the Hawk Tuah thing that happened. Like millions and millions of dollars were invested and time was invested into that. And no offense to her, but really, if you could just pivot your priority, focus on the future of our children, the future of our country, which is our children, and if you could just do that just for a year or two, you know what I mean? It could just really launch us into where that's something we may not have to worry about anymore for the next, in 5 or 6 or 10 years from now. So I ask everybody, just come on, reprioritize for a second. Let us get back to the fundamentals of what we're supposed to be as a human race, and then as a nation, and let us just do this, please. You know?
Man, couldn't have said it better, Josh. Really, really well said there. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I'll add one thing to that. I think the biggest issue with it is it's a it's an ability to do some reflection and to look inside, right? I think there's too many people out there now, even parents, that they have a hard time looking internally and facing these tough questions. And everything they're looking for, unfortunately, is that release from reality, I call it. And that's why I love this podcast and speaking to guys like you, that we need to start focusing our attention on things that matter and can still have a good time. We can
Yeah.
still enjoy life,
Oh yeah.
but we're only here for a short time, man, and we need to really get focused and look to leave this world better than we found it. And that
Absolutely.
starts with making sure these kids are protected, they learn and they grow up and they really help take our country to the next level.
That's
And I'll
right.
jump off my soapbox there, but that's the way I
No,
feel about it,
that's
man.
perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect, man. You're right. Let's look within, fix it, and then move forward. It's for the kiddos, man. It is
it
at this point.
definitely is. That being said, what can people do to spread the awareness, to get involved? What's out there? What do you need from people?
Just talk. I mean, get on Angel Force, on the Angel Force Protection website, www.angelfp.com. Check that out. Just kind of see, what it's about. If you have questions, you can email on there. Find me on social media, Joshua Yurkowski. I'm the only one in the world, JoshuaYirkovsky. You find me. You Google that name, I'm the only one there, and my goofy face will pop up there. You can, check me out. I'm always welcome to answer any questions about any of this stuff. And then, you've got these individuals that really, they really put a hinder on my progression, because a lot of people are just vicious and under the assumption that like this is a money driven thing, or it's a grab. I'm what do they call it, an ambulance chaser, where I'm just latching on to the horrors of the nation, and I'm trying to benefit myself personally off of that. It's total trash to assume that, first. But second, if you think that that's the case, then you can jump over. And this is where Trevor linked us in. You can, and he's part of the board, but you can jump over into, www.angelforcefoundation.org, and that's our nonprofit. And literally, the whole objective of that is to bridge that gap between what a community I call village, what a village can't, the village family can't afford or do. We're doing that with Angel Force Foundation. We're utilizing everybody. We're utilizing first responders, military, the knowledge of parents and teachers, and the wisdom within the community. And we're bringing it together so we can support and get that money to the schools that cannot afford themselves. Get that education out there to all of, the community, or our village, I say, and allow us to flourish internally, at a cellular level, and then bring it into the nation. So that nonprofit organization is open and available for everyone to be able to be a part of, so that we can just let this thing fly, let it fly.
Yeah, I hope, and I hope that this episode will start to help even bring more awareness. Again, I'm not Joe Rogan by any means, but hopefully one day you'll be on Joe Rogan and we'll even be getting it out
Who
there more.
knows?
But so, Joe, if you're listening, I think this is a very worthy individual that you should talk to.
What's up, Joe?
But yeah, but Josh, yeah, man, again, I really, really appreciate you jumping on today.
Thank you.
Like I
Thank
said,
you.
being a father, this is something that's near and dear to me. Thankful that I never have had that tragic experience. And I hope that it's you, people like you, that will prevent people from having to experience these tragedies. So thanks again. And again, thanks everybody for listening. Please check out Josh and what he has going on, and
Thank
spread the word. If you don't have the money, spread the word.
you.
Awareness is what's needed. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening, and remember, never hibernate on your goals.